Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, written by Janet Campbell, illustrated by John Kurtz, narrated by Angel Hammer. In a little house deep in the 100-acre wood, a very round bear named Winnie the Pooh was doing his slimming exercises. He was breathing deeply when all of a sudden he felt his tummy rumble. "Oh my," said Pooh. "This up and downing is making me hungry." Pooh hurried to the cupboard and got out his honey pot. "Bother," said Pooh. "There's nothing left but the sticky pot." But the sticky part was better than no honey at all, so Pooh stuck his nose into the pot and licked up the last little bit. With his head deep inside of the pot, Pooh heard a buzzing sound. "That buzzing means something," Pooh said. Pop! He pulled his head out and saw a bee fly out his window. "Buzzing means bees," said Pooh. "And where there are bees, there's usually honey." Pooh followed the bee through the 100-acre wood, and when he came to the foot of a very tall tree, he looked up and he saw the bee buzzing around a hole. "Honey!" said Pooh, and he began to climb. He climbed and he climbed all the way up the tree, all the way up to the hole. And as Pooh leaned forward, the branch began to bend. The more he leaned, the more the branch bent, until he could almost reach the honey. And he leaned just a little more, and went the branch, and down fell Pooh. He bounced from branch to branch to branch until he ran out of branches and landed head first in a bush. "Oh my!" said Pooh, rubbing his sore head. "I guess it all comes from liking honey so much." Pooh rubbed his head so hard that he came up with an idea. He could borrow a balloon from his friend Christopher Robin. "You can't get honey with a balloon," Christopher Robin told Pooh. "I can," said Pooh. "I shall hang on to the string and float up to the bee-hole," he explained. And then Pooh rolled himself in the mud until he was covered from nose to toes. "I'm pretending to be a little black storm cloud," Pooh told Christopher Robin, "to fool the bees." "Silly old bear," said Christopher Robin. He watched Pooh float up, up, up into the sky and dangle right beside the hole. Paths of Darkness, written by R.A. Salvatore, Book 1. The Silent Blade. And so it was this night. Wulfgar, though deep in thought and deep in turmoil, succumbed to his exhaustion and fell into a peaceful blackness that soon turned again into the images of the swirling gray mists that were the abyss. There sat the gigantic, bat-winged Urtu, perched upon his carved mushroom throne, laughing, always laughing, that hideous, croaking chuckle. That laugh was born not out of joy, but was rather a mocking thing, an insult to those the demon chose to torture. Now, the beast aimed that unending wickedness at Wulfgar, as was aimed the huge pincer of Bismatek, another demon, a minion of Urtu. With strength beyond the bounds of almost any other human, Wulfgar ferociously wrestled Bismatek. The barbarian batted aside the huge human-like arms and the two other upper body appendages, the pincer arms, for a long while, slapping and punching it desperately. But too many flailing limbs came at him. Bismatek was too large and too strong, and the mighty barbarian eventually began to tire. It ended, always it ended, with one of Bismatek's pincers around Wulfgar's throat, the demon's other pincer arm and its two human-like arms holding the defeated human steady. Expert in this, his favorite torturing technique, Bismatek pressed oh so subtly on Wulfgar's throat, took away the air, and then gave it back, over and over, leaving the man weak in the legs, gasping and gasping, as minutes, Then hours slipped past. Wolfgar sat straight up in his bed, clutching at his throat, clawing a scratch down one side of it before he realized that the demon was not there, and that he was safe in his bed, in the land that he called home, surrounded by his friends. Friends. What did that word mean? What could they know of his torment? How could they help him chase away the enduring nightmare that was Urtu? The haunted man did not sleep the rest of the night, and when Drist came to rouse him, well before dawn, the dark elf found Wolfgar already dressed for the road. They were to leave this day, all 5, bearing the artifact Krishinabon, far, far to the south and the west. They were bound for Caradun on the banks of Impressed Lake, and then into the Snowflake Mountains to a great monastery called Spirit Soaring, where a priest named Catterley would destroy the wicked relic. Krishinabon. Drist had it with him, and when he came to get Wolfgar that morning, the drow didn't wear it openly, but Wolfgar knew that it was there. He could sense it. He could feel its vile presence, for Krishinabon remained linked to its last master, the demon Urtu. It tingled with the remained energy of the demon, and because Drist had it on him and was standing so close, Urtu, too, remained close to Wolfgar. A fine day for the road, the drow remarked lightheartedly, but his tone was strained and condescending. Wolfgar noted. With more than a little difficulty, Wolfgar resisted the urge to punch Drist right in the face. Goodnight Moon. Written by Margaret Wise Brown. Pictures by Clement Hurd. In the great green room there was a telephone, and a red balloon, and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and 2 little kittens, and a pair of mittens, and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb and a brush, and a bowl full of mush, and a quiet old lady who was whispering, "Hush! Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light and the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs. Good night, kittens. And good night, mittens. Good night, clocks. And good night, socks. Good night, little house. And good night, mouse. Good night, comb. Good night, brush. Good night, nobody. Good night, mush. And good night to the old lady who was whispering, "Hush." Good night, stars. Good night, air. Good night, noises. Everywhere. The Legend of Love. Written by Nan Ryan. Narrated by Angel Hammer. Chapter 4. Sweet desire began its slow, sure burn through his body. The blood flowing through his veins started to heat pleasantly. His heart expanded, kicked forcefully against his chest. The hard muscles in his flat abdomen tightened, his breath deepening, becoming more rapid. She was young and pretty, and he had been too long without a woman. He wanted her. It was as elemental as that. So little time. He would have to work fast, but not too fast or she'd never consent. "There, just about done," he said, and looked up. When her eyes met his, he held her gaze for a lingering second, and then purposefully directed her attention to the needle in his hand. A needle still connected by a thread to the bodice of her dress. He gave the thread a mild jerk. He wanted her to recall that when she had finished sewing the cross on his tunic, she had leaned down and bitten the thread in 2. His silent statement was clear. Elizabeth did remember and became immediately edgy. Her gaze flew back up to his eyes, and she murmured, "No, He just smiled at her. Slowly, he lowered his dark head. Her heart galloping, Elizabeth watched wide-eyed as his bearded face moved down to her left breast. When his face was no more than a fraction of an inch from her, she saw his wide mouth slowly open, and she trembled. His sharp, white teeth gleamed in the moonlight. He bit the thread swiftly in two, and she was free. But for another heartbeat, his bearded face remained where it was and gently nuzzled. Elizabeth's breath left her body in an astonished rush. He raised his dark head, held out the needle, and smiled at her. She started to speak. He stopped her before she could issue the command that he return at once to the side of his cell. "Miss," he asked gently, "will you allow me to sit here beside you for a few minutes?" "Whatever for?" was her shaky reply. "Even Yankees," he said, easing himself over to sit flat on her right side, "are human beings. I have a name, and I told you once, spy." She sensed sure danger now. "I don't care to know who you are." "But I care who you are." His voice was velvet in the still, warm night. "Won't you please tell me your name so I—" "No, I will not, and must you sit so close?" She scooted over several inches. Undaunted, he stretched his long legs out before him, placed his flattened palms on his thighs, and said, "Show a little compassion, miss. I've been away from home for years, been locked up in this stockade for a week. I'm a lonely man." His dark head swung around and he looked directly at her, his eyes flashing in the moonlight. While his riveting gaze held hers, his hand slowly lifted from his thigh. He turned it over and he offered it to her. Elizabeth, snared by those hypnotic eyes, whose colors she could not determine, shook her head no. But at the same time she placed tentative fingertips atop his warm, open palm, and then tingled from head to toe when his long, lean fingers closed firmly around her own. He said, barely above a whisper, "My God, you've got the smallest, softest hands I've ever held." "You really shouldn't be holding my hand," she told him, feeling strangely warm and short of breath. He smiled engagingly, laced his fingers through hers, and drew his hand up to her chest. She gave a couple of half-hearted tugs to free herself, but wasn't certain that's what she actually wanted. He read her indecision, and he didn't let go of her. Instead, he sighed, as though contented, and began to speak of inconsequential things. His voice, low and gentle, was seductively soothing. Blessings, Prayers, and Declarations for a Heartful Life. Written by Julia Cameron, author of The Artist's Way. Narrated by Angel Hammer. Section 1. To bring forth the soul of our being, we must be in our bodies, rooted to the earth, able to draw from the universal source of energy. Diane Marichild. The earth is radiant with grace. The world is abundant. It is filled with beauty. The world holds abundant beauty in people, things, and events. The world offers abundant supply for my every need in people, things, and events. And in this generous world, my needs are met through many sources. My desires are fulfilled through many channels. This world is sacred, bountiful, and generous. I recognize and appreciate this abundance. I have the courage to desire my good, and I have the expectations of my good being fulfilled. I am partnered and provided for by the universal flow. I am enriched by universal supply. Carefully and consciously, I am cared for in earthly ways by divine sources. My good is assured, and I prosper in this abundant world. God, I can push the grass apart and lay my finger on thy heart. Edna St. Vincent Millay. A broad and radiant river of goodness flows surely through my life. Divine flow prospers my endeavors. Divine supply funds my dreams. I open my heart to divine action in all of my affairs. I am ready and able to act on the divine guidance as it unfolds within me and outside of me in every circumstance. When I am lonely and overwhelmed, I remind myself that I am partnered by a loving universe. I turn my attention inward, seeking a state of calm. I listen both within and without for promptings, signs, signals, and communications that ease my soul and allow it to act wisely and decisively. Welcome to our work safety training video. Ensuring the safety of every employee is our top priority. In this session, we'll cover essential safety guidelines and practices that will help create a secure and productive work environment. Safety starts with awareness. Familiarize yourself with emergency exits, fire extinguisher locations, and first aid kits. Knowing these key elements can make a crucial difference in times of need. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is a must. Depending on your role, wear helmets, gloves, goggles, or other necessary gear. These safeguards reduce the risk of accidents and ensure you're ready to handle potential hazards in the workplace. Maintaining a tidy workspace is more than just cleanliness, it's about safety. Clutter-free areas prevent tripping and falling incidents. You should always store equipment and materials properly to prevent unnecessary accidents. And if you encounter a spill or a hazardous substance, please report it immediately. Proper cleanup and disposal procedures are essential to prevent contamination and protect both yourself and your colleagues. Electrical safety is paramount. Inspect all cords and plugs regularly and never overload outlets. If you're not sure, consult a professional to avoid potential electrical hazards. When handling heavy machinery or equipment, follow proper protocols, use guards, follow instructions, and receive proper training. Don't take shortcuts, they compromise your safety. In case of an emergency, stay calm. Follow evacuation plans and designated assembly points. Communication is key. Alert others and follow instructions from safety personnel. Remember, safety is a collective effort. Look out for your colleagues, remind them of safety practices, and address potential hazards promptly. Thank you for prioritizing safety in the workplace. By following these guidelines, you contribute to a secure and productive environment for all. Let's work together to ensure everyone goes home safe and sound every single day. You're My Little Pumpkin Pie. Written by Nicola Edwards. Illustrated by Natalie Marshall. Narrated by Angel Hammer. You're my little pumpkin pie. You make my life so sweet. Warm even on the coldest night. You're good enough to eat. You're magical, my dear black cat. You are my good luck charm. I'll hold you close so you know that you're safe here in my arms. You're my special spooky ghost. You are my baby boo. You are the one I love the most. No one compares to you. You're my special spider. No trick, you're such a treat. To me, there's nothing nicer. You're my candy, super sweet. You're my baby, bedtime bat. It's time for you to doze. Under skies of inky black, your tired eyes flutter closed. Velvety smoothness to taste so divine. Our chocolate milk is the sweetest that you can find. With every sip, a moment of bliss, a symphony of flavors that you won't want to miss. From the first drop to the very last, our chocolate milk is a treat that is unsurpassed. Nutrition and flavor perfectly combined, a wholesome choice for your body and mind. So grab a glass and savor the taste. Our chocolate milk is a true masterpiece. Hello, you've reached Cerberus Industries customer service line. Unfortunately, we are out of the office at this time. Please leave your name, your number, and a brief message, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And remember, have a great day. Have you heard about Babysitter Connect? It's your go-to solution for finding reliable and trustworthy babysitters. We understand that your child's safety and well-being are your top priorities. With Babysitter Connect, you can confidently find experienced caregivers who are just a tap away. Getting started is simple. Just download the Babysitter Connect app from the App Store or Google Play. Create your profile and provide some basic information about your family and childcare preferences. Are you looking for the perfect babysitter? Our app lets you search and filter based on location, availability, experience, and reviews. Browse through profiles to learn more about potential sitters. We believe in transparency. Each babysitter's profile includes their photo, years of experience, qualifications, and reviews from other parents. You'll even have all of the information that you need to make an informed decision within seconds of download. Found a babysitter you like? Booking them is a breeze. Choose the date and time that you need childcare and send a booking request. Your babysitter will confirm availability, and you'll get a notification once the booking is confirmed. We understand that peace of mind is essential. Our app provides live updates during the babysitting session, including photos and messages from the babysitter. You can relax knowing that your child is in good hands. Payment is secure and hassle-free. You'll be charged through the app after the babysitting session is complete. There's no need to worry about handling cash. Your feedback matters, and after the session, you can rate and review your babysitter. This helps us to maintain a high standard of service, and it ensures that other parents can make an informed decision based on your feedback. Babysitter Connect isn't just an app, it's a community. Join our forum to connect with other parents, share tips, and ask for advice. Our customer support team is also available around the clock to assist you. Make childcare convenient, safe, and reliable with Babysitter Connect. Download the app today and experience the difference. You can download Babysitter Connect now and find the perfect babysitter for your family's needs, because your child's happiness and safety are our top priorities.